This is Teaching to the Test Pattern.
Hey, buddy, welcome to Teaching to the Test Pattern. I'm Tom White, your host for today's show. And this is part 2 of my conversation with production genius, audio wizard, super rad dude, Josh Jensen. In this episode, we're going to talk about the software he uses to produce just magnificent things for different radio stations, different companies, anybody who really needs something, including really awesome or moderately mediocre podcasts. Josh is the guy to go to. We're also going to talk about where creativity comes from for Josh. We're going to talk about some troubleshooting. We're going to just talk a little bit of everything in this episode. Again, this is part 2 of my conversation with Josh. If you missed part 1, go back and check it out, where he talks about his career in radio and just how you end up looking back and having to make friends with what used to be enemies and a little bit more there. The next episode will be professionalism and some of the things that Josh suggests that you do if you are working as a freelancer or really working in any medium and any format to make sure that your clients are happy. This episode of Teaching to the Test Pattern is brought to you by schoolvideonews.com. The January issue is out right now. I know a guy who wrote a really cool review of a really amazing product by Roland. It's a brand new switcher from Roland. It's a 4K switcher, so it kind of future-proofs your program. It allows you to do a ton of really cool things like regions of interest. So if you have a 4K camera, it allows you to choose different regions inside that shot, and those are 4 different inputs that you can use for your broadcasts or in-house video or what have you. So go to schoolvideonews.com right now and check that out from Roland. It's a really cool switcher. It's priced perfect, and it will help you future-proof your program. So let's get into the conversation with Josh, and we start right off with what software he's using.
Teaching to the Test Pattern.
So let's get technical. Like, what softwares are you using?
Okay, so right now I have Pro Tools. I'm just using Pro Tools 12 or something, whatever it was. But I have that, and I have Native Instruments, and I have all the Waves plugins, and I have please hold. Cut that off. I have a couple others. I have all the Adobe stuff, and what's the new one that I bought? Please hold.
Holding.
It went away, but that's fine. Oh, God, shut up, Siri. I'm breaking things. I have... so I have all the Adobe stuff, and I have Florida Studios, and I have Logic Pro, and about 10 other things.
Gotcha. Yeah. So most of what we're going to be using in the education setting is Audition, which, you know, I tell the students, I'm so old. I remember when it was cool Edit.
Yeah.
And I might have had a pirated copy.
Yeah, of course. Come on. I think the only time I had a real copy is when I was in Atlanta.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I emailed you a couple months ago and said, hey, dude, I'm doing this podcast. Would you do my audio for me? And you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Where do you start? I mean, I gave you a couple of, hey, I like these things, but how do you go from blank slate to super cool audio?
So for blank slate, I focus on who I'm working for. First off, I take their personality and I try to put it into whatever I'm doing. And I try to relate to who he's talking to as well. So I try to keep both of those in mind and go from there. So, and then you gave me a little direction on the music and stuff like that too. So that kind of was a help. Because if not, you're just getting metal beds. You're getting extreme metal beds, or you're getting nothing but gangster rap.
And I'm okay with both of those.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, again, it's a teaching podcast. So
yeah. So where do you find that spark? I mean, you're doing this 8, 10, 12, 16, 20 hours a day, 300. I mean, you're really doing it year round, especially in your current situation. How do you keep that spark? How do you keep that fire?
A lot of coffee and not knowing where the next paycheck is coming from, and just trying to make things sound more fun than sometimes they actually are. You know, like, I like things being fun, and I like people, they're trying to get away from what they're doing. If they're listening to whatever I'm putting out, they're trying to get away from their life. They're trying to get away from their day-to-day grind. They're trying to do something to, you know, just have a good time with. So that's why I kind of like to keep things creative, and I try to make it as fun as possible for everybody.
And are there places you go to get inspiration?
Well, the bar, but the gym helps out a lot. The park, I like going to the park. Like, I'll run the park and take my dog out, and we'll go for a run, stuff like that. But a lot of it has to do with what I see, like, usually just during the day. See what people are doing. I love people.
So, deep question. Creativity, is it a gift or a muscle that needs to be exercised?
The work ethic is the muscle that needs to be exercised, because there's days that you don't want to do it and you have to do it. Like, that's the days that you don't want to, or the days that you need to step up, because those are the days it means the most. The creativity part, I think you're either born with it or you're not. But it also can be honed, I feel. You know, because sometimes you got to pull me back in.
Very aware.
Yeah, so it's harder to, like, push the creativity than it is to pull it back, if that makes any sense.
Gotcha. So, problem solving, and just as you're coming across issues, and you know, you're up against a creative wall. Talk about the creativity required to just come up with something.
So the problem solving part, I heard, I don't know what I was listening to, but it's like there's something entrepreneurial, I'm sure of, but it said 5% of the time is spent on the problem, 95% of the time is spent on the solution. So that's, and what I like to do is, if I'm stuck, I just throw stuff at the wall. And when I throw stuff at the wall, it makes other things click. You know, like, it's spinning, the wheels are spinning, they might be going slow, but something's going to latch in and kick in the next part. So that's kind of what I do when it comes to figuring out my creativity or where I'm going with something.
There you have it, problem solving 101. 5% is the problem, 95% is the solution. Thanks, Josh, for your time here on part 2 of our conversation. Part 3 will be up in the next day or so. So make sure you stay tuned. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button on wherever you're following me right now, and you'll know when episode 3 comes out. We're going to talk about professionalism and some of the things that Josh does. It's going to be a very short episode about what he does to make sure that he takes care of the people who take care of him. So make sure that you check that out. While you're checking things out, make sure you go to schoolvideonews.com to check out this month's issue. It's available right now 24/7. It's got whatever you need to make your classroom better. Thank you so much for listening today. And as always, go out and make some awesome.
Teaching to the test pattern.